So this video is going to be a little bit different to usual. So we just wanted to spoil you all with our presence. We're going to roll 3 videos into one. So we wanted to do a video on top tips around guide dogs, mainly for sighted people, do's and don'ts and misconceptions about the visually impaired, sorry. The first one we're going to do in a kind of interview style, so hopefully you'll enjoy it, maybe something a bit different to usual. Let's see how it goes. So Cal, what's
Yes.
the impact if somebody feeds Iggy while you're out and about working with her?
Okay, so this is really common, and there's a lot of impact here. So guide dogs, they're amazing dogs. They're really, really well trained, especially around food. But because of the breed of the dog, they're naturally greedy, and if you wave a treat or a bit of food in their face, they're not going to think twice. They're going to go for it. And there's the obvious impact of this, really. Like it distracts them from their work. Say if they're guiding, suddenly they're not bothered about what I'm telling them or what the owner's telling them, should I say. They just want the food, So it distracts them from their work, definitely, because like I said, they're then just focusing on the food and the treat or whatever. But there's health impacts as well, so guide dogs are on a very strict diet, food-wise, and if someone just gives them a treat or gives them a bit of food, then especially because I can't see it, or the owner can't see it, they don't know what food it is, what they've given them, they don't know what sort of effect it's going to have. And even some people say, it's not too bad, I just gave her a dog treat. Well, how do you know, if that dog's got any allergies or, if it's on as I said, on a strict diet? And that applies to any dog really, not just guide dogs or working dogs. You've got to consider their health. And say if Iggy became ill because of something that, somebody had fed her, well, that could then potentially mean that I couldn't go out for however long it takes her to recover. So just think about that person, the dog's health really, and as I said, that applies to any dog, not just guide dogs or any other assistance dog that you might see out and about. If you really wanted to, ask the owner, if you can give them a treat or whatever. If they say yes, then fine, but don't just walk up to any random dog and just give it whatever you've got on you. It's not a good idea.
So we both know the story, but can you tell us the worst incident you've heard within our friend group of somebody feeding somebody's guide dog?
This is terrible. It's so one of our friends felt their guide dog eating something. They were out and about, went to get it off them, and this woman says, "Oh, don't worry, I just gave him a Kinder Bueno." Chocolate is poisonous to dogs, people. It's
not even funny really, is it?
No, it's
Luckily,
terrible.
he was fine.
Yeah, he was fine.
He's still here, he's still working, he didn't even have to go to, well, he went to the vets as a precaution, didn't he?
Yeah.
But he didn't have to, have
anything done.
No.
But yeah, do not feed dogs chocolate.
Don't feed them full stop if you're not the owner really, unless you've got, proper certified permission. Get it signed or something.
Yeah, get it in writing.
Start carrying around contracts with you if you want to start feeding someone's dog. But please, don't feed them, especially when they're working. So
another one is what you've seen the impact of this quite a few times, or the effect of this quite a few times. When people talk to Iggy instead of me, you've seen this happen a few times on when we've been out and about or when we've been learning routes together and stuff. How would you describe the effect of it?
So, number one, that is so frustrating. Please talk to the guide dog owner and not the guide dog. Like, it's just rude. Like, I've had it before where somebody said morning to me while we're out on a walk together, and then they'll be talking to the dog, like, and completely ignoring Callum, like, altogether, and then they'll chat to me, and then they'll chat to the dog. It's like, he's stood right here. Or even, like, I can't even put a number on the number of times you've come home and you've said, oh, yeah, I was on the bus and somebody was cooing over eggs, but I tried saying hello and they just ignored me.
Yeah.
Like the bloke today who fed Iggy on the bus.
Yeah, I tried to
Yeah, you tried
politely tell him, you know, can you not do that? Or I think at first I even said, like, have you just fed her?
And he just completely ignored you.
It's nothing.
I mean, there was one incident that I can remember where you got completely lost because this woman, you were stood holding onto the spinning dial underneath the Pelican Crossing box.
Yeah,
and
we'll mention that a bit later,
actually. So you were holding on to that, and then this lady was talking to you saying, oh, what's your dog called, and asking you all about the dog, and then it hadn't started spinning, but she crossed, and then a second later it started spinning, so you were about to tell Iggy to go forwards, and the woman had already got to the other side, turned around and gone, come on Iggy, bring him across the road, come on Iggy, that's a good dog, like...
Confused her.
She just followed that woman for ages. Callum didn't have a clue where he was, and it wasn't even either of their faults. Yeah, maybe you should have caught on, but it's hard when she goes slightly wrong, and then you're in a complete different place to what you know.
Yeah, it can be it can be a very subtle difference.
Like, I'm not saying she knew what she was doing. That's why we're doing this video.
Yeah.
Like, we want people to understand what that does to a person.
Yeah.
And to the dog. Like, she completely lost confidence and she really struggled bringing you home, didn't she?
Yeah.
But you're here to tell the tale.
I survived.
Can you tell me about something that lots of dogs love, but you should never give to another person's dog without asking?
A cuddle. Yes, I know the dogs are cute and, you know, and all that, but...
Sorry, or even a snog.
Oh,
No.
yeah, even a snog, yeah.
No.
I will get into that in a minute. I know the dogs are cute and, you know, it's so tempting to just give them a bit of a cuddle or, you know, a stroke, but again, it's another one of them things, like, you know, they love attention and it can very, very easily distract them. So say if me and Iggy are walking somewhere and then someone walks past and, you know, gives her a bit of fuss, she's then sort of thinking, ooh, you know, I like that person's giving me a cuddle, you know, where are they going? What, you know, so she kind of wants to follow them then. So yeah, just, it's another one of them things, just ask first, you know, just say, can I stroke her? And if you can, then, you know, I'm sure the owner would say, yeah, go for it. If they say no, then, you know, respect that. They've said no for a reason. That's the easiest way. And yeah, don't snog guide dogs either. I was in uni not so long ago, having a meeting. My support had hold of Iggy. I could tell she was getting excited. I didn't really know what over. And then I later found out that some woman had come up to Iggy, got on her hands and knees, and just completely, just full on snogged her, which was a bit bizarre. That's one of the stranger reactions that I've seen to a guide dog, I've got to say. But yeah, that will definitely distract them, in case you're wondering.
And this whole video isn't a rant. It's by no means is it a rant.
No, not at all.
We're just, you know, trying to raise awareness of these issues, because it seems like sometimes it's not just stupidity, it's genuine, like, people genuinely don't understand. So after this video, then it's stupidity.
Jess, what would you say to you seems to surprise people the most about guide dogs?
Well, it's when people find out that they're not perfect and they do make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, our Igster, love her to pieces. She's amazing. The work she does for you, it's amazing what these dogs can do. Like, there's the dog that is getting quite a lot of publicity at the minute, where it's a dual purpose dog and it's done so much to help its owner, but I'm pretty certain it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
That it will make mistakes. That is human nature, animal nature. It's just nature.
Yeah.
Everybody, everyone, everything makes mistakes. So if you do see a guide dog making a mistake, don't be surprised. Don't, oh, your dog's made a mistake, what's wrong with it? Is it in training? Don't get involved. Just, maybe ask if they need any help. Usually you can tell if the harness handle's down, that guide dog owner might need some help. But, just a nice, are you alright? Is everything alright? It's just nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just, don't be like, oh, what's wrong with your dog? Oh, it's not trained very well. Oh, it's not very well behaved. It doesn't help, does it? And it just gets tensions raised, people more upset, and then that dog, to be fair, would probably start working even worse because the owner's frustrated and angry and anxious.
Yeah. I have had times before where Iggy's walked me into stuff, and obviously that's frustrating anyway. But then people go, oh, she's not very well trained. It's like, oh, she is. It's just having a bad day, like everyone.
Yeah. And things do distract dogs. So like, Iggs she's not as bad as she used to be actually since she's grown up a little bit. The past year. She used to get really, really distracted by other dogs. But now she seems to be okay. She just kind of looks and then carries on working.
Yeah, it's settled down quite a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, but she used to be quite bad for it. Like, she would just get really giddy, or she'd take you over to the other dog, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
But it's just how it is. Like, she'll eventually, from more work with you, she'll learn, didn't she? So,
yeah.
So that's one for the book. So that is the end of our guide dog top tips, and how to behave around guide dogs and things. We're now going to move on to do's and don'ts around visually impaired people. Again, we're not having a rant. We're not, it isn't just one big scream and I wish I could sometimes, but I sound like Tarzan. So yeah, it's not a rant. We're just trying to help, really. Hopefully, it makes you think twice when you're doing something in public, or when you see someone who's visually impaired in public, or you're chatting to someone who's visually impaired, or even if you've got friends or family that are visually impaired.
Yeah.
Like, everyone needs a few little do's and don'ts tips. Yeah. So, do you want to start?
Yep. Okay. First one.
Don't
drag visually impaired people across the road.
That was really good. I can't believe we got that spot
on. So, yeah, sometimes it's happened before where I've been stood at a crossing, or I've been stood somewhere a little bit uncertain of where I am, and people have just come up and just sort of grabbed my arm and just taken me somewhere. And, honestly, it's not an ungrateful thing. They're trying to help, and I am grateful for the help, I really am. But it can be a bit confusing, Someone just walks up to you and just... Imagine if you were blindfolded and someone just walked up to you, grabbed hold of you and just started taking you somewhere. It's
where you can hear a load of traffic.
You can hear traffic around.
And you don't know where it is, do you? Like, you do, but you don't. You don't know if it's coming at you. Like, that is scary.
It is scary. I mean, you don't know, as Jess said, you don't know where the traffic is. You don't really know who that person is, necessarily. The best thing to do, really, instead, is just ask them, if they need help or where they need to go. And then if they do need help, you know, if they say, actually, yeah, I just need to get to this place, let them take hold of your elbow, or basically put your arm out so that they can take hold of your elbow or your shoulder. Some people prefer to be guided in different ways, but that's usually the way that a lot of people prefer.
So, like we said before, don't drag someone across the road. Do ask if they want help, and if they do, offer it to them. So the next one, don't. Talk to a VI person through someone else.
Yes.
Pet hate. So I've had it, we've had it with family and friends, we've had it out in public. So there was just, I think it was just before Christmas, maybe the start of December.
Yeah, I think it was.
So we were in Kent and we were in this restaurant, and this lady said, "What does he want to drink?" Cal, what do you want to drink? Like, you can talk to him. What's wrong with you? And she literally, I said to him, I said, "Cal, what do you want to drink?" And he answered her. And then she came back later with our food, and this lady, she says to me, "Will you tell him that his plate's hot?" Cal, your plate's hot. Like, I understand some people are hearing impaired as well. They might have other needs. You know, everybody has completely different needs.
Yeah.
But it was obvious that she knew that Callum was blind, and, you know, you can talk to these visually impaired people. They are not aliens. I swear.
We won't bite.
Yeah, they won't. Well,
not always.
No, sometimes.
Mm.
So, honestly, just, you know, feel free to ask them a question, talk to them, anything. Because you do like it, don't you, Cal?
Yeah.
No, you're not allowed to answer for yourself. I'm joking.
Don't start. Next one.
Do.
Feel free, if you see a blind person or a visually impaired person looking a bit confused, do feel free to just ask them if they need help. So we kind of mentioned this earlier, really. If you see them looking see someone looking a little bit confused, again, just say, you know, "Oh, do you know where you are? Do you need any help?" You know. And a good indication of that, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, was if they've got a guide dog, and if the handle of the harness is down, looks like over the guide dog's back,
and they don't have hold of it, like the owner only has hold of the lead or something.
Yeah.
It's not always a given, is it?
No, not necessarily, but it's a good indication. I know quite a lot of guide dog owners got taught that, you know, if you're struggling, then, you know, just put the handle down and just basically wait for someone. And some people as well might have a little sign which they might be hold up, you know, which just kind of says help wanted or help required or something like that. So if you see that, then that's usually an indication that they're a little bit stuck. And yeah, just don't be afraid to ask, really. The worst we'd do is say no. Do allow a visually impaired person to get to the button at the Pelican Crossing. So again, this is another thing that we sort of mentioned earlier. So on the button, on the box of a Pelican Crossing, just underneath where you press the button is, on most of them nowadays, is a little, it's like a little cone-shaped spinner, basically, yeah. And what that does is when the lights are on green, so you can cross, that will basically spin.
As in the green man, not the green light for traffic.
Yeah.
That's to be a bit wrong.
Yeah. I've never seen it. Leave me alone. When the green man is on, that will spin, and that is actually an indication for visually impaired people. So most of the time it's on them even if they beep, but you know, even if they do beep, just allow them to get to that little button anyway. It's often a bit of reassurance, you know, to know where they are. And also, a lot of guide dogs are actually trained to find it. So, like for me with Iggy, I can say to her, you know, find the box, come on, find the box, and she'll put her head near the box, and then I can find where her head is and point out, can then tell where the button is. So if you can, you know, if you see them approaching, just move out of the way, let them get to it, and then they can feel when if by any chance it doesn't beep, or even if it does beep and they want a bit of extra reassurance, they can feel that spinner and know when it's safe.
Exactly, because if someone's hearing impaired as well as visually impaired,
Yeah.
then they're not going to be able to hear the beep anyway. So don't forget that kind of thing. Like, I know it's easy enough to get set in our own ways and we just forget that other people can't see or other people can't hear. I think we just need to be aware of it, really. All of us, if we just all had a little bit more awareness, the world would be a much better place.
Yeah.
So the final do is to move out of the way if possible. So I'm not saying jump out the way of a blind person. I'm not saying, you know, oh my god, don't get in the way. I'm not saying you need to panic, but we've had it before. So like we've had it where if it's a cane, if Callum is out with his cane, then people tend to run out the way because they're scared of getting hit with the cane. Or if, you know, if something that really annoyed me actually, if he was coming towards someone with his cane, so I guided him away from them, and they decided they wanted to cross our path, and instead of just waiting just a second just to get, you know, for us to go past, because I didn't realise where they wanted to go, they decided to run across in front of us and jump over his cane, and then she tripped and then acted as if it was our fault.
Yeah.
When I tried to guide him away from her, like, anyway, so that's just one example, but people tend to jump out of the way of the cane a lot more. I don't know if people who use the cane more than Cal, if that's not the case. If it isn't, let us know and we'll update our video and hopefully add to it. But a guide dog, we've found that people tend to walk into the dog a lot more because they know that that's not going to hurt, that it's not going to, you know, it doesn't affect them if they walk into the dog.
I think as well, they expect the dogs to just suddenly, you know, take me around them in some ways.
Yeah.
Which sometimes they can, a lot of the time they can't. They can't predict what people are going to do.
So that's the end of the do's and don'ts, and now for our final section is misconceptions about visually impaired people. So I found that it's really easy to understand in a way, and I don't know about other people, I think other people don't quite realise that not everyone who has a visual impairment is completely blind. Like, there are different levels as partially sighted, which visually impaired doesn't say blind, does it? You know what I mean? So there's some people who have quite a lot of sight where some people can see a whole room, but one section of it they can't see. Like, it's just completely different for everyone. So I'm not going to describe everything, but those people who do have quite a lot of sight, even though they're partially sighted and visually impaired, like they're classed as visually impaired, they tend to feel guilty about accepting help, and they feel like they shouldn't be able to see as much as they can. So don't immediately think, you can't be blind, why have you got a cane, you just looked at me. That's not the same thing. You know, it can be that somebody can see you. You know, people have good days and bad days, some people. like I said, I'm not going to cover every condition, but that's, you know, one form of visual impairment. Some people just see shapes and blurs. So like a, you know, smudged water painting or something, watercolour painting, like they can see things but they can't make out what they are, or they can't focus on things like that. Some people just have light perception, so as in like they can't see anything but they can tell when it's light and dark. So that's another form of visual impairment. Like, you're not completely blind because you can see the light and dark, you can tell whether it's light or dark, but at the same time you can't actually physically see things. And then there's some people who are completely blind and it's really hard to understand. Completely blind people do not just see black, like it's just a sense that just isn't there.
It just like, isn't there at all.
As a sighted person, I cannot understand that. I can, but it's so hard to get your head around. It takes a long time to get your head around it. So it's just so hard to understand. There are many varieties of what people can and can't see. So I've not listed them all. It's just, you know, giving an awareness of what there is out there and the differences, and that there are differences.
I think the main thing to bear in mind really is just that it's different for everyone. Really. So
the next misconception, I'm sorry, I'm going to take over on this one, Cal.
Go for it.
Oh, are you his carer?
Oh, yes.
No, I'm not.
Very annoying.
No, we are equals. Like, yes, Callum can't see, but that doesn't mean that he needs a carer. I understand some people with visual impairments have additional, like, issues. So some people with visual impairments do require a carer. That's okay. I'm not saying that everybody's the same, but don't assume that I'm Callum's carer just because I'm sighted and he's blind. And, you I know I could be a supermodel, but that doesn't mean that I am his carer. Please stop asking me. And don't assume it either. I'd rather you ask me, actually. I'd rather you asked than assumed that I am. Yes, we are engaged.
Yes.
I don't do anything for Cal, really. He does all the washing, he does most of his own cooking, mostly completely by himself, and he does everything. So please do not assume. Callum, over to you to tell us the next misconception.
Okay. Blind people can use technology such as phones, computers, basically anything. So
as long as they know how, like, not everybody knows how.
No, not everyone knows how.
We're not saying
obviously.
You all know how.
No. But on most smartphones and most computer systems, there's built-in, nowadays there's pre-installed magnification software, and there's pre-installed screen reading software as well. So I won't go into too much detail, but for instance on the iPhone there's VoiceOver that reads out pretty much everything that's on the screen. Not everything works with it, but 99% of things do. So that includes, Facebook, I don't know, WhatsApp, text messages, emails, all the essential things work. And on Android there's something similar called TalkBack. On the iPhone for partially sighted there's something called Zoom, which is like a magnification software. So, there's all sorts of accessibility features that people can use. So, again, if you see a person with a cane or a guide dog using a phone, they can use it. Don't think, that person can't be blind. They use it. Look at that. They're using an iPhone. Well, you know, Apple have done a lot, and so have Android. You know, to build in accessibility for everyone on
Which
their
is really
products,
good.
and it's really good, and it works really well. So yeah, blind people can use technology, mainstream technology.
Oh my gosh, revelation or what?
Hmm.
That should be our main heading. Blind people use technology. Amazing. So the next thing I've got is a really big misconception. Some people think that only completely blind people can have guide dogs, and that partially sighted people have to have canes. That is not the case.
Not true.
Nope.
No.
Not true at all. We should do a true or false video. Like, that is not true, that is false.
Yeah, definitely false.
So can you tell us about all the stuff you had to go through for guide dogs in about 10 seconds?
Well, it's a long process, but all I'll say is there's a lot of assessments for guide dogs. They need proof that you're classed as visually impaired legally. They get you to do all sorts of tests with current mobility aids that you're using, so cane or you know, anything that you use to help you get around. And you know, it's not just a process of calling up and saying, oh, I want a guide dog, and they go, oh, here you go, which one do you want? There's a long process, you know. So if you sort of think, well, that person's got too much sight to have a guide dog, well, you know, they haven't. They've been through the whole process. Guide dogs have approved them, you know. So it's been proven basically that they need that dog and that they are eligible for that dog. And again, if a completely blind person only has a cane, well, you know, that's normal as well. They might not want a guide dog, or
They might be allergic, or
yeah,
might be on the waiting list.
Yeah, there could be all sorts of reasons. There's no right or wrong, really. There's no rule saying, oh, partially sighted people can't have dogs, or only blind people can have dogs, you know.
Or every blind person has a dog. That's not the case either.
No. It can vary, and it's again, it's all down to that person's preference, really.
And last but not least, there are actually different types of canes. So when you're out and about, the most common thing people will think is a cane is the long cane, which, yes, that's immediately recognisable. It's the one where people scan on the floor, so there's like a roller on the end of the cane where it rolls and scans across the pavement or whatever, and that's what you think. You see it, you think blind person, but there are actually two other types of cane.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
And people don't tend to notice as much with these two types of cane, although one of them is called a symbol cane. So I think people need to know about them a bit more, don't they?
Yeah.
Like, tell us about them. What are the other two types of cane?
So there's the long cane, which obviously is the most common one. There's the guide cane, which is medium length usually, and that is usually for people if they've got a little bit of sight but they still need a bit of help, maybe detecting where curbs are, or you know, just certain obstacles here and there.
Or not necessarily. It could be somebody who is being guided.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't want to have the long cane if they know that they're gonna have a guide, so they just take out a different cane, just to use in case they need it, just use it a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
And then the other one is a symbol cane. So that is the smallest one. And basically, I don't think that really provides any protection. It's literally just, as the name suggests, it is literally just a symbol for people to, so that sight people can sort of recognise, oh, you know, this person's got limited sight. Just so that people are aware, really, you know, just give them a bit of space, and it's basically, yeah, as the name suggests, just more of a symbol, really. So I imagine you'd use that if you've got a fair bit of sight, but you know, you still need, as I said, a bit of extra space, or you just need people to be aware that you might struggle a little bit. So yeah, they're the 3 types of commonly used canes.
So we are so grateful if you have listened all the way to the end of this video. Please get in touch, let us know your thoughts. If you think it's been useful, share it to your friends, you know, if you think it's going to be useful for other people.
Definitely. If you've got anything that you'd like to add, feel free to get in touch or post a comment. Same if you've got any questions, you know, feel free to get in touch with us through the website or put a comment on this video. We'll do our best to get back to you.
And if you want any more information on a number of things, try looking on our website as well, www.blindsos.com.
.com.
Thanks for listening.